Musically meditated.
Musically meditated. Musically meditated.
Welcome to Musically Meditated, episode 20. This is a big deal. Ain't it, Stratton?
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal. It's 2-0. That's like extreme double digits. This shit's for real.
It is for real.
It is. We have some special guests here with us tonight. We have Chuck and Allison from Fluid Coffee. What's up, y'all?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
Good. First thing, I'll go with my story with this. When I went to Fluid Coffee for the first time, it was a great impression, first impression. There was Minor Threat playing in the background. Chuck, what's up with that, man? I think you have something to do with that. Maybe you too, Allison, but I think that might be Chuck.
Well, it's a collaboration.
Is it a collaboration?
Oh, it is, but I do tend to dominate the recorder there sometimes.
and then after that, then there was a little bit of Black Flag going on too. I was like, man, these
That's
two are
our
really cool.
that's probably our fluid punk station. So we create our different stations. So we have different stations for different moods.
Yeah.
Nice. Allison, do you like new wave a little bit more, or you're into punk too?
I like them both, yeah. I was really not into that much of new wave. I mean, there's a few things that I like. I was a big Joy Division fan, and I still am. Looking forward to seeing Peter Hook in 2 months, actually.
Oh, nice. High
Super
fives.
excited.
Yeah.
High fives. Where's he go? Like, where's he performing at?
The Aragon Ballroom.
No,
Metro.
Metro.
Oh, really?
We've had the tickets for like 8 or 9 months at least, so I'm really excited about it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But, definitely into Joy Division, a little new wave, but very much into the punk scene, too.
Loving Rockets, Bauhaus.
Oh, yeah.
Bauhaus.
Yeah.
Loving Rockets.
Chuck, good call on the
Yeah.
Bauhaus.
Post-punk.
Yeah, like we had a
For
vinyl
sure.
night here many moons ago, right, Stratton?
2 months ago-ish.
2 months ago. Seems
2 moons
so
ago.
long ago. It seems so long ago, but I brought some Bauhaus here, and like I put it on, like Bella. What is it?
Bela
Bela
Lugosi's
Lugosi's dead.
Everybody just like kind of looked at me like, this shit's weird, Joe.
Yeah, that's their pop hit.
Is it their pop hit? Whatever,
Oh yeah,
Chuck.
that's what they're known for. Man.
I know, it is.
And not to just not to name drop, so to speak, but we saw Peter Murphy, the lead singer from Bauhaus, not too long ago.
Yeah.
Or last summer, whatever.
That was a crazy
Was that
crowd.
last year? I don't know.
Yeah.
Great concert though.
Where'd you see him at?
Talia Hall. So another
yeah.
reason that's one of those stories we were talking about. Good stories at Talia Hall,
Oh, I love that place.
That
It's
was
the
a
best.
goth crowd. I'm going to tell you what, like, these people got ready for like 4 or 5 hours before they showed up.
They were gothed up. G'd up.
Beautiful people.
Yes,
yeah,
they were.
It was crazy. Crazy experiences in the bathroom. And there was a lot going on at that show.
Were people selling Lucy's in the bathroom?
There was
Do you know
a
what
lot.
a Lucy is? It's just a cigarette, just one cigarette.
One cigarette.
Allison does that a lot.
I am a smoker. I know very well what a Lucy
Well, shit.
is.
When a pack of cigarettes like $12 in the city now, it's
You can't blame people.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's how I got you guys on the show. I sell Lucy's at Fluid Coffee.
What?
The ATF
probably worked.
ATF don't come find me, but that's what we do. But at any rate, that's really cool. Bauhaus. I didn't see that one coming, Chuck. I didn't see that.
No,
pulled that out.
we love Bauhaus.
Yeah.
Very
True.
cool. Very cool.
We that's probably one of. Well, we told you the story sitting at the bar, but not to get too long into it right now. But we met in high school and in the art loft, so to speak, and one of the bands that was a constant backdrop was Lovin' Rockets, which is 3 of the 4 members of Bauhaus. And to this day, we are still huge Bauhaus fans, or huge Lovin' Rockets and Bauhaus fans. But we also saw a reincarnation of them last year called Pop Tones. And where was that? The Metro? Metro, I think it was. And that brought me literally to tears. I mean, that was like the most emotional concert I've been to in a long time.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Where's Bauhaus from? I don't remember.
England.
They are British.
Yeah, they're British.
And they came out like late 70s, right? That little post punk.
Yeah, probably more like early 80s when they It may have been late 70s when they got
70s, yeah.
going, but they didn't hit their stride until...
I think like 79-ish on it.
79. And
Yeah, actually,
Alice,
I think you're right. I think it's like 79 to 83. I think
Yeah.
is like a greatest hits type of album that we have. So,
and Allison, you said Joy Division. Chuck, you like Joy Division too?
oh yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, I know Ian Curtis killed himself before you guys probably got to see him live, but what an awesome band.
yeah.
And when you mentioned them, I came here earlier today at the Green Door, and I was like, Siri or whatever that is, Alexa, play Joy Division. They played like one song, and Michael that you met earlier, he's like, turn that off right now. It's too down. It's too dark. I'm like, but it's February.
But we need
He
this.
said it's too down.
Yeah, he said
But
it was just,
what does he listen to all day long? He listens
The
to
National?
The National.
and it makes me. I'm like, put it on. Like somebody came in here. I'm like, put on the National.
The National makes me want
And then
to
he's-
walk outside with
I
no
know.
coat on.
It's true.
That's
though.
brutal right now.
It is brutal. He's like Joy Division. I think it was like Shadow Play. He's like, this
Yeah.
is just it's a little bit too edgy for me right now. I'm like,
Whatever, dude.
I made that face. Nobody can see this face right now. But I was like, come on, guys. Come on. But yeah, I love Joy Division. They're
Yeah.
way ahead of their time.
Way ahead of their
Way,
time.
right? I mean,
Oh, big time. Now people are just finally, hitting the stride with Joy Division, and shit, we're hearing them in like freaking Kohl's or something now. It's killing me. I
wasn't
hate
Kohl's.
going to.
It's true.
It wasn't Kohl's, but
It wasn't
I think
Kohl's.
it was Chipotle though, or something.
no, don't say that. They had a Joy Division burrito.
Yeah.
They had the lines on it.
And it started out with
There you go, yeah.
locally, Three Floyds put out that Floyd Division beer.
Floyd Division was really cool.
And
And
then
then
it
Franklin
kind
House
of
there
like
in Valpo
yeah.
with the Franklin or the House Burger where they do the that's
they
And
started
shout out to
that.
Justin Wallace because you guys, he hooked me
Yeah.
up, but he got me a couple of those
Hey, Justin.
bottles. Yeah, he
Yeah.
got me a couple
Yeah.
of those bottles. The Joy Division, what was it called? House Division?
Floyd Division.
Floyd Division, yeah.
bottles.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But
That's a
yeah,
good
Yeah, they're
design.
cool.
they're a really good band. And what was the Blue Monday? The group after
Yeah,
Ian
New
Curtis?
Order.
New Order.
New Order.
Yeah.
You can't deny them. You
Yeah.
know, like with those old school beats and the old school analog synths and drum machines. Like
Yeah.
they're the shit.
Yeah.
Big time, big time.
Which that's Peter Hook. He was the one that carried
Yeah.
the torch on, so to speak. From Ian Curtis, and obviously it got a lot more poppy. After that, they wanted to be more successful than Joy Division. They wanted to be more, current, and you can't blame them.
No, and it was fun though. I mean, it's enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the song "Ceremony," I love that song.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And I
there's
know
some
there was
great
like
songs.
earlier Joy Division, like with Ian Curtis on the vocals for that. But that's a great song,
Mm-hmm.
very well written song. Have you ever heard Radiohead cover that?
Ceremony.
Awesome.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, they cover "Ceremony" by Joy Division.
Yeah, we'll have to
Have
check
to
that
check
out.
it.
Really, really
Yeah,
good.
We like Radiohead quite a bit. Hence
Yeah.
the name of one of our sandwiches.
Yeah, I named
Oh,
one
you
of
have
our
a sandwich
sandwiches
name?
after.
Yeah.
Well, I named it. It's on a Parmesan bagel, so I named it Parma Police. It's kind of
Sorry.
cheesy.
Oh,
but
that's really
Cheesy, Parmesan bagel.
catchy. Allison,
Parma
I
Police.
agree. I think that's a good idea. Where'd you get your
Hence the-
Parmesan from, though?
Yeah.
Right? Did you?
And hence the other sandwich, Love Buzz, which is our other favorite
Little
band
Nirvana.
who I
Nirvana song.
died from, which we just learned a few months ago that Love Buzz is a cover from
It is
from
a
like
cover.
a 60s
Yeah.
song. I never knew that.
It's
I
an
never knew
old
that.
school cover.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
Buzz is an old school
Yeah.
cover.
And
It
we-
is.
we
I don't
listened to it
remember
as-
the band's name right now,
Yeah,
but
some
can't think
obscure
of
like.
if we had
name
Wallace
over
with
there.
us right now, he would let us know.
What,
'Cause
yeah?
he was
Yeah.
a big Nirvana guy, but
Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
Dude,
of the
somebody
band.
just said the name too.
When Kurt Cobain died, that's like a groove in our mind. We remember where we were at, and we were.
Oh yeah.
You have to, from people our age, growing up at that time.
It's a good story. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
I
hear your
mean-
story, Chuck. Like
well,
when Kurt died.
So I lived. The first time I heard first time I heard Nirvana. It was off of Bleach, and I was at a nightclub in Jacksonville, Florida, and it came on, and it was like really like, I had heard a little bit of Mudhoney and the Seattle scene stuff, but that raw kind of
Low tuned guitars and
Man.
a little bit of that Cookie Monster growl behind it, right?
shit. When I heard that, I stopped. And I'm like, I gotta know who. So I go up to the DJ, ask him who it is. He tells me who it is, And so from then on, it's like I'm a hardcore Nirvana fan. And then, and then I I was living in Florida at the time, and I come back up here to be with Allison. I moved from Florida to be with Allison.
Thank you. I'm still appreciative.
Yeah. So I came back up here, and Nirvana hadn't hit yet, and I'm trying to find them in record stores, and I'm in I don't know, Tinley Park or somewhere. I don't remember where we were at.
Orland, Tinley.
Tinley, whatever. And I go into the burbs.
You were burbs, right?
Yeah, those where her best friend lived or something over there. I don't know. I hate going over there. But
Stratton's from the burbs.
Yeah. No offense.
No, he's from Maryville.
Yeah.
He's from Maryville.
Yeah, whatever. Maryville.
That's the
kind of like the burbs.
Southeast suburbs. That's what I always tell people.
Like
from the southeast suburbs.
Of Gary. But anyway, we get that. I come back up here and I'm telling Allison, dude, you got to hear Nirvana. I love Nirvana. That's freaking awesome. And we go to this record store and I'm scanning. I'm straight to the ends looking for Nirvana. And I'm like, yes, I got it. And I get the album and bought it on CD. CD was a kind of a new thing for me. It was actually
like $40 a pop to be a new thing. I remember that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Go to
They were
Hagrish Records.
expensive.
My mom's
They were
like, I got your
expensive.
dad a bunch of CDs.
Yeah.
Like $40 a pop.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
crazy.
Remember that? Remember
Yeah.
Hagwish and shit?
Oh yeah, God, we
Hagwish
lived
was
at
a big
Hagwish,
part of our
man.
lives. Yeah, big part of our lives.
Those guys turned
That's
us
how we
on
discovered Ween.
to. Yeah, I love Ween.
Ween. That was one of the best discoveries ever. Walking into Hagwish and like, what is this?
Remember they were
Well,
in
this
that
is
Pat
Ween.
movie,
I
right?
was like, what?
That what?
Pat from
Oh yeah. Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
Ween was in Pat?
Yes.
Oh no, I don't remember that one.
I forgot that one.
But it
What bad
fits
shit.
though, with
Ween.
Joe's
and
also from
Dean.
the suburbs.
From the
Shout out
Hobart.
to the movie
I'm
Pat.
from the Hobarts. I'm from the Hobarts. We'll go.
Hobart. Anyway, so the Nirvana thing, and I won't drag it on too much longer, but we get out in the car and it's me and Allison and her best friend, and we get in the car and I rip that package open and I put that CD in and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I look at it, I get the album, and I'm like, this is not Nirvana, and it was Nevada. And it was some band named Nevada, and it was crap.
It was horrible
total
music.
crap. I'm sorry if you're a Nevada fan or whatever.
If you're from Nevada,
if you're
we
from
don't like
Nevada,
you.
but it was not Nirvana, and that's all that matters. And I was pissed, and I took it out and I whipped it in the back seat and hit her friend in the head with the CD.
True story.
with the CD,
With the CD.
a $40 CD.
So
And
that's my
get
Nirvana
Nevada.
story.
I believed him. He's like, there's this beautiful band, Nirvana. And, you got to hear it. You got to hear it. You got to hear it. And no, I
It's a
heard
good
Nevada.
Nirvana story. Nevada, wrong one. It looked
But
like the same font.
it was
and
a few
everything.
months later, and then they kind of started
Yeah, then
being out there. We finally got the CD.
Then Nevermind came out.
Yeah.
And,
It changed the world.
Yeah, hell yeah, it changed the world.
Yeah.
We were living after that. Right after that album came out, we were living in.
Knoxville,
we moved
Tennessee.
to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I'm still like obsessed with him. And I worked with this guy that just wanted to. I don't know if he was just trying to get under my skin, but he was always telling me, "Oh, they're no Jimi Hendrix. They're never gonna be as big as Jimi Hendrix." And I'm like, "You're full of shit. They're gonna be bigger than Jimi Hendrix. I mean, they will go down in history as world-changing, band, a world-changing band." No, nothing. I'm like, oh well.
One of those old
time proves them
heads.
wrong.
Yeah, one of those old rock and roll heads.
Yeah.
And I think
Which,
that's,
hey, I love Jimi Hendrix.
yeah,
Too, but whatever.
oh yeah, much respect. But when you guys were listening to Nirvana back then, I know you had like a love and passion for coffee, and it was before Starbucks.
Truth.
Because you shared that with me when I met you guys. You want to reflect a little bit on that, Allison? Like, what's your?
Well, like Chuck said at that time, we lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Knoxville, Tennessee was kind of a coffee town in ways. There was a place there called JFG Coffee, which was in a super cool old industrial building in what they call Old Town in Knoxville. Knoxville's a college town, and there was a pretty decent art and music scene there. And they started this would have been at the time that Frasier and Friends was coming out, and there was like this little coffee culture happening. And Chuck and I would go out for coffee all the time. And there was this Victorian house up on a hill that it was just a tiny little place. And these people opened it and started serving really good coffee. And there were a couple other cafes downtown, and we were like, this is what we want to do. We want to open up a coffee place. I mean, it's just, it's a great thing. It's a stimulant. We love to drink it and sit around. It inspires conversation that is completely and totally different than alcohol and creativity. And at that time, it just started to be kind of a thing. Before that, it really wasn't in the U.S. It really wasn't where people went out for coffee. They might have coffee with their breakfast at, a family restaurant, a little cafe. But the coffee house scene really started to pop at that time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and Chuck, with yourself, like looking back at the history, did you get involved at the same time? Like that's when your interest peaked in coffee? Because, I mean, I remember you told me that you were getting into it first wave, right? Isn't there like 3 waves? You guys are in the 3rd wave right now?
Right. Sure. I mean, in general, that's what they call it. I mean, a lot of people don't like to use the term 3rd wave, but It is what it is. I mean, first wave being like Allison said, like the JFG is like another company, like a Maxwell House or a Folgers or something like that. That's first wave. And then second wave would be the introduction of like espresso-based drinks to the American public, and that was where we were at when what Allison is describing.
Okay.
We were at that beginning in this
Barely,
area, in this general region of the United States of the second wave. And of course it was already happening in Seattle and California and stuff like that. But as you know, things are slow to make it to the Midwest. And even though we were in the South, it's even slower to make it to the South a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But so we were in that second wave right there. And so, flash forward too many years, and we're into that 3rd wave. And some people even say maybe even the 4th wave.
Yeah.
4th wave action, huh?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we're going to all different types of waves, but the whole coffee game is really interesting. Like to me, like personally, I remember the first time I ever really dabbled into it, like from an independent view, was through Dark Matter at the mothership there on the west side of Chicago in Ukrainian Village, because my friend lives next door to it, like I told you guys.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like it before. And what was really, really cool was how they would implement like art, as far as music goes. And they always had this like heavy metal thing going on. And like I mentioned earlier, when I walked into your guys' place, hearing Minor Threat, like you guys have this really cool punk rock vibe. So I think there's like a really cool element between, maybe craft beers and coffee where it's very do-it-yourself.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing it yourself. So I really tip my hat to you guys for that. Like, that's really, really cool.
Oh,
Thanks.
thanks.
Yeah, really, really cool. And it's like a really, really good environment for creating. And Allison told me, too, what is the historical vibe of coffee? Remember, you broke it down to me before, and I thought that was really, really cool.
Kind of when coffee came to Europe, it was a big change because people were constantly just drinking beer and basically gin all day long. And that really kind of gives a certain vibe to when people hang out, They started early in the morning drinking alcohol, and things just went on that way for many years. And then when coffee came to Europe, it really sparked this whole new kind of vibe. And there were coffee shops everywhere popping up. And people started to drink coffee, which is a stimulant, the whole uppers and downers thing. And that's how the Age of Enlightenment kind of happened. So there was so many new things. At the same time that coffee came into Europe, there was just all kinds of changes in philosophy, art, music. people were like getting stuff done, and it kind of changed to where people drank coffee in the morning and drank alcohol in the evening. And it brought on a whole new way of living, really. And we like to embody that part in what we do in Fluid. That's why we have so much art and music and things around. Coffee's a stimulant, and people need that part of their lives too, you know? So it kind of changed things.
Yeah, it did. And I like how you broke that down to me. Like,
Yeah.
You know, when I first met you guys, like,
Yeah.
wow, that like, and I'm a history dude. Like,
Yeah.
it was a great history lesson. So thank you.
Cool.
But yeah, the whole Enlightenment era, like, and it's true. Like, it brings artists together to either write, paint, make music, whatever. You
Yeah.
know, whatever you want to do.
I have
Overthrow
a
governments.
random question, sort of. Have you guys been to the Uppers and Downers event at Talia Hall since we mentioned it before?
That's a
Oh,
I've been wanting to go
Back
for the
to
last.
Talia,
It's
yeah.
been, I think it's been
great.
going on 2 years or something, maybe 3.
I think
3
3
years.
years.
We've been
Yeah.
to 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
It just
And
it
it's
just
great.
happened like
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
not too long ago.
February. Yeah.
February?
I think the yeah.
did we
just
miss it?
We missed it.
Oh shit!
Or it might be it might
so
be a
this is
couple of days. I
probably-
don't want to say that for sure.
Okay.
So this would be the 4th year because we've gone. We didn't go to the first one. We went to the next 2 after that because some of our
And it's
coffee
pretty awesome.
suppliers there. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So you go over and try a bunch of different espressos. Pulling it on the La Mazurcos and different baristas and different roasters in the city, and then you go over to the booths where they're using those coffees, in their beer collabs, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
That's when you get some real experimental stuff. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
I was wondering about the atmosphere too. All the people out there, you could probably have some really good conversations and shoot ideas. Is it that way? That was my hope.
Is it
No.
snobby though?
No, it's not snobby at all. I mean, I didn't find it to be snobby. I mean, you just go back and forth from one line drinking espresso and to another line drinking beer. I didn't have, and there's some like training courses and stuff going on. Excuse me. Pour over demonstrations and coffee demonstrations and things, and you can have some good conversations with the baristas and with the people pouring the beers from the different breweries and things. But it's not really an intellectual type of environment, but it's in
Just people yelling, "I'm fired up" at each other. This coffee's strong.
Coffee
yeah,
shop.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of I'm a little bit antisocial person, so I don't just strike
don't.
up conversations with strangers usually.
But Chuck, back to the coffee, and as far as the beans go, like I asked you before, I know you guys get your beans from other places. Like, what's the history behind that? Like, where do you get it from? Like, what's the business behind it too for the listener? You know?
So I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. It's becoming common knowledge that not all coffee is made equal. In a way, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but in a way, the coffee culture right now is kind of paralleling the craft beer industry, and obviously coffee has been. It's not hit the popularity that craft brews have hit, but there's a lot of similarities there in that when you drink a craft beer that someone has really put a lot of time and effort into, as opposed to like the big guys. It's the same in the coffee industry, so we'll get a bean that's been direct traded from let's say like Ethiopia or something like that, where you pay a little bit more for it, but that the farmer is being taken care of and their practices are being watched, and they're growing things and developing things in a sustainable way. And that's like super important. I mean, there's been times in coffee history where there's been diseases and things that that have come into play, and then there's been times where in the coffee industry, like the second wave that we're talking about, or actually that first wave more so probably than that second wave that we're talking about, where it's just about volume, and they'll clear cut rainforest or something like that to put
Maxwell House type
yeah,
shit,
exactly. It's garbage coffee. It's low grow, super fast, jittery, bad stuff. So it's the difference of drinking a finely crafted wine or a finely crafted beer, or even these days with the distilleries are becoming much more popular. It's the same with the coffee. You source these beans from these different farms that have these practices that align with your beliefs and your morals and things like that. So it's not just a matter of XYZ has some coffee beans for sale. I'm going to buy those and roast them. No, it's a lot more than that. Now the origins, the elevation that they're grown at, the cultivars, so much more. Who the farmer is, if where the washing station is, all these different things about the coffee, and that makes a big difference to that end user.
And so, like with the drinker too, I go through my phases, drinking coffee and not, but as a drinker of it, when I do decide to drink it, I like to know the history of it. So that's really, really cool. Like you mentioned, like earlier, like I don't know, as far as where it comes from is where it starts, And
That's a difference between coffee, beer, distilleries, all of that. Wine. We can grow grapes in America. We can grow hops in America. Grain alcohols, things like that. But coffee is only grown in this small band around the equator. And that takes a lot of communication to be able to deal with farmers in different countries, speaking different languages, and crossing that, these barriers, so to speak, to buy the right coffee, to have these relationships. It takes a lot, and that makes coffee a little bit different, and it makes it a little bit more difficult in those ways,
How are you guys able to go about the research to where you want to get the certain bean from?
The beauty of the internet, for the most part. I mean,
the intranet.
Yeah. So the interwebs. Yeah.
The interwebs?
Yes, the interwebs. So, you deal with these guys, like you mentioned, Dark Matter, and they have direct relations with these farmers in South America, and they do a lot of stuff in like Colombia and El Salvador and things like that, where they go down there, and they're kind of like punk rock dudes. They go down there and and have a part in how things are fermented and developed and grown and things like that. So that's generically called direct trade. And then you have other people, like we deal with a roaster out of Chicago, which many people will know, which is Intelligentsia. And they're super, it's two different sides of kind of like the coffee spectrum, They're super serious about it. They're all about direct trade. They're all about, getting the best of the best of the best. So they'll go to these.
It. Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, it is
It's like
awesome.
buying Union-made, American-made stuff, when you're buying boots from cars, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So those guys will, go down there. Actually, Intelligentsia is the buyer for Intelligentsia. Jeff Watts is the guy that coined the term direct trade back in like 2007, 2008. So it's not that long ago that the term direct trade came about, but as opposed to everybody's heard the term fair trade, direct trade is a little bit different than that. So they'll go down there and have direct relations and have direct communications with these farmers and wash stations and importers and all, the whole supply chain they'll have relations with. And that is a huge, it's not perfect, but it's a huge advantage of getting good coffee. So we kind of like rely on people like the experts at Intelligentsia. I know in the coffee world around here, they're like sellouts. They were bought out in 2015, I think, by Pete's Which,
Shame on them.
Yeah, you know, you can't blame the dude. I mean, yeah, and nothing. I mean, and we've been working with him since early 2016, and so 2 years later, I mean, they've done nothing but gotten better.
Right.
In my opinion.
Here's my thing. Like, I could only speak for myself, but if I have a good idea and someone else thinks it's a good idea and they want to buy it for millions, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
I mean, call me a sellout. I'm a millionaire, right? I mean, call me a sellout. I'm a millionaire. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, they were able to.
I mean, there's a level, like, you got to keep it real, but
Yeah.
I'm living on an island somewhere or something,
Yeah.
They were
Kiss
able
my
to
ass.
keep, a lot of control. I mean, it's the same people that are still there, and they were able to really keep things at the same level that they were at before, and like Chuck said, even improve, where there's more money to fly to Peru now, and to meet this farmer's brother and see what he's doing and stuff like that. So they were really in the way that they did the whole deal, they were really able to keep a lot of the control, and that makes a big difference. And in direct trade, like Chuck was talking about too, part of that is they paid 20% above fair trade prices.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's the real deal.
It sounds like the real deal. And
Yeah.
like the whole equator thing, I mean, as far as the habitat goes and where you're growing whatever plant it is, it seems very, very important, especially when it comes to coffee or whatever else, right?
Oh, it is. It's not only elevation, the area, the amount of rainfall, but it also has to do with what else is growing around there. So there's when you're growing organically, which that's the kind of coffee that we want to use, you don't want a bunch of stuff sprayed on your coffee or your vegetables or things like that. But there's different ways of growing different trees and different plants near the coffee that help keep, it's like a natural pesticide. So it
Whoa,
helps keep,
really?
certain
cool.
pests away, and it helps like the soil, depending on the pH levels and all of this stuff. So these practices are kind of ancient for people who have been growing coffee for a long, long time. Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee, and the history is really rich, and it goes way back. And people have learned their land, what works with their soil, and that all has to do with growing different plants that help the coffee. So
That's crazy.
yeah, it is. It's really interesting.
That's really cool. And Chuck was telling me too, like there are battles, right? Like over that equator type of land, like to grow coffee or maybe other drugs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's just rich soil.
Yeah, and Central and South America, where you have your drug cartels, where they would really rather grow, like poppies or something like that. Some of those coffee farmers have been accosted by these guys, and some of them have literally had to fight back, with force to grow coffee because that's what they do, And so that's crazy to think about from our American, lens. But
That fertile soil is fertile soil. You know?
yeah.
Right.
Whatever you can grow there, there's good stuff coming out of that
Oh
area.
yeah.
And sometimes generations will, especially in Colombia, where maybe your father owned a coffee farm and then you're growing cocaine, and then maybe the next generation's like, you know what, this is
We'll
not
grow coffee here instead of cocaine. It's gonna
Yeah,
be good. It's gonna be
this-
strong.
And, right,
I should blend the two.
It's a blend the two.
blend them up.
With nitrous? I don't know. It's just an idea. At any rate, but yeah. You gotta blend it. But you guys' nitrous blend got me going. I'll just put that out there.
Throw that out there.
I was a very I don't know, just a great employee that night.
Production.
But what was that,
You
real
got a
quick? Like,
lot, you got a lot done.
I got a lot done. What was in that little shot glass, though?
Yeah, so
Talk to me about
we-
that nitrous.
we
Was it
kegged-
nitrous?
Nitro.
Nitro.
Nitrogen. Not nitrous. That's the
Too many
balloons.
raves.
Not the gas.
Too many raves.
Too many raves in the late 90s, Joe. Right, don't look at me like that.
Been buying balloons at the Grateful Dead too often, But anyway, I don't think you can get high off of nitrogen, but maybe you can. I don't know. Depends if you. But no, we keg our coffee and infuse it with nitro or nitrogen, and serve it on tap just like a beer. So when you come in there, it's a stout tap. So it creates that creamy head, just like a Guinness or any other stout type of beer. So when you get that, and I think I showed you last time you were there, it's theatrical a little bit.
It is,
You
and it was
see it,
great.
and you see the cascading effect, and it's beautiful.
It looked like
and
the Titanic was sinking in a small glass.
It's good stuff,
Joe.
though. It's good
It
stuff.
did. It was good though. It was productive that night.
Definitely. So that's
Very
high
productive.
octane, because of the processed, in brewing that, it extracts a lot more caffeine. So you got 2.5 times, give or take, probably give.
And the whole brewing culture is a whole nother thing, right? Like as far as people obviously respect and enjoy what they're doing, but isn't there like a culture behind brewing coffee like there is brewing beer?
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, it goes to, there's a couple different things, So we roast a little bit of we'll source our own green beans, so to speak, and our own raw coffee beans, and we'll roast a little bit of those, and then we'll buy some kind of roasted from the guys that really have been doing it for a long time, do a good job of it. So in that respect, it's similar, but like Allison pointed out, you can buy all the ingredients to make beer, within a very small radius of any brewery. That's a totally different story when it comes to coffee. But the similarities are there. There's a kindred spirit, so to speak, with us, and obviously we're sitting here drinking. Well, wait a minute, so.
Ham.
It's the evening. So hams and
Lagunitas and pear brandy
pear
from
brandy. Yeah, so it's
Serbia.
the evening. Excellent stuff, by the
It
way.
is. It's really good.
Yeah.
You can't get that shit on the shelves.
No, absolutely not. You gotta bring that back with you.
Yeah, you do. You do.
But anyway, the point is we just went down another path. We get around. We always joke, like people like say, "Hey, what'd you do this weekend?" Well, we went to coffee shops and breweries, and that's no joke. That's what we do in our free time. That's what we do for fun. So if it's within a 2-3 mile radius of where we live, we've probably been there. If it has anything to do with coffee,
2-3
or beer.
hour radius.
What did I say?
Damn.
2-3
Mile.
Oh yeah, 2-3 hours.
That's a good spot to transition into that ministry show you two wanted to tell me about. Allison, did you get kicked in the face or something?
This is my claim to fame.
What happened at that?
Still has
ministry?
the boot mark.
Well,
I know you two want to tell me
at
that
this
story.
ministry concert, Jello Biafra happened to be there, and I was a
Oh,
big
Jello.
fan.
The power of lard.
And I was pressed up against the stage so hard that my ribs were bruised for probably
Damn.
a week or two. And this happens to me a lot. It still happens to me a lot because
true.
I want to be right there all the time. So, and then at punk shows, you usually get kind of compressed. And so I was right there at the front, and I was getting kind of rowdy with Jello, and he literally put that big dock right, boom,
Oh,
to my face, on the side of my face. And I was a
I
little
didn't know this story
sad.
was going to end that way.
Yeah, well, I was a little
Way
sad,
to
but I
set
was
me up,
also, I was also a little like happy. It was like a badge of honor for me because I was like,
It was your
well,
punk rock-
this
punk
is
rock.
like my punk rock girl moment right here. I mean, I've got this,
Well, there's just a
I-
little miscommunication.
a little
there.
miscommunication between Jello and I, but the ministry concert itself was a blast. I mean, it was in the transition of ministry being kind of like the, kind of bop 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 kind
Halloween.
of poppy music into
Weirdness.
boom. We're throwing
Halloween
it all out
badass
there.
trip. Yeah.
Right.
That's what ministry is.
And when Chuck and I showed up to this show, we really didn't know what to expect, but we were pleasantly surprised because the show got crazy, and it was the last time and the only time that they were at the Holiday Star Theater in Maryville, because the crowd literally ripped out the seats of the Holiday Star Theater.
And nobody likes seats.
Nobody wanted the seats.
Not at a show like that.
There was no room for a pit until people were
Ripped out the
pulling
seats?
seats up by the bolts, so out of the concrete floor, and it got really, really crazy, and we had a great time, and that is what turned us on to ministry. We were just going kind of because it was in Maryville, and it was like, well, the Bop Bop is all right, it's right here in our town, and then we were, it just got really crazy
Then
and
you
really
got into
different really
ministry,
fast,
huh?
and then we
Oh, my
both got
God.
into ministry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I had I had Twitch, the album Twitch, which was the predecessor, I think it was the album right before The Land of Rape and Honey came out, which totally changed things. And then I had Sympathy, which was, I think that was Al Jorgensen's first album, and Sympathy basically sucked.
I like TV2. Was that on that album?
I don't know, man.
All right,
I
all
try to block that out. To tell you the truth, it's not my kind
Cup
of
of tea.
music. Yeah,
It's not my cup of tea line.
no, not at all. And he didn't want to do that, and I appreciate that. And then Twitch had okay at Isle of Men, and and then Halloween and stuff like that.
Right.
Was okay. So like Allison said, we weren't like super stoked to go to this show, but it's like, well, shit, it's in Maryville. It's like alternative before the word alternative was being thrown around, and so we went and actually Allison actually snuck me into that concert.
Damn, Allison, way to go.
Yeah.
She pushed
Snuck
a side
Chuck
door
in.
open in.
I snuck us
for me.
into a concert last summer too.
Yeah.
Or
You guys
the
are
summer
rebels.
before.
Google Bordello.
Google Bordello at Thalia Hall last summer. I was
How
like,
was that?
It was
was
great.
awesome.
It was so high energy, and we were
Thalia
standing
Hall's the shit.
outside, just hanging out, drinking, and
We're
we
like
wanted to
regular
see the
faces
show.
there. I don't think they even.
You're like regular? You're
Yeah, we
regs?
go hang out there. I mean,
We're the
whether it's a
reggies.
show or not, we go hang out there. I don't know. We're not that regular, but I mean, we
I
go
love
there.
that
We
place,
like-
though. That place
so-
is really cool.
We had no wristband, and I wanted in, and
It was sold out.
So yeah, I like sneaking into shows, and I snuck Chuck into that ministry show.
I snuck
I
Chuck
paid for my
in.
ticket,
Did you?
but the original,
Yeah.
the ministry show,
Yeah.
but got it.
true.
Yeah,
That
that was great. And then we got to see them again New Year's Eve, either 2015 or 16, in Chicago, just a couple years ago. And Al Jurgensen put on a old school, like playing all the old hits kind
Yeah.
of show. And it was on New Year's Eve, and there was like confetti falling from the ceiling.
That's
and,
what we want.
Like,
Confetti on New Year's.
like, yeah, the Jack Daniels just thrown out into the audience. And
Jack and confetti.
It was,
That's what we want.
we had a blast at that show. Was that 2016 New Year's Eve?
I don't know. It was at Concord
Hall. Yeah.
which there were a bunch of Nazis there.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
They're once you're in, you're in. There's no.
They don't let you go outside to smoke.
Oh, it's one of those Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Concord Hall thing. But it was still
about
it
them,
was a great show.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good place. I don't mean to like.
Dis
we've
Concord
seen, Yeah,
Hall.
we've seen
Piss in their Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
You don't mean to piss in their Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Chuck? It's okay.
We saw Naked Raygun for the last time.
Yeah, I
there,
want to
too.
ask you guys about them, like, because you were into punk when you were younger. When you got
Yeah.
together, like, Naked Raygun is a huge Chicago punk rock
Oh, yeah.
band.
Yeah.
How was that back in the day? Did you guys see them back in the day?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Black Flag with them?
No, never
Okay.
saw Black Flag. But
Okay.
I
No.
wish.
Yeah, that would have been great. The first time I saw Naked Raygun was actually in Valparaiso, Indiana. And so it was way before they really kind of got popular. They came out to VU. And I was just ecstatic that they were going to be at VU. I mean, it was crazy. And I think that would probably have been like 88 maybe.
Damn.
And so I went to VU
Nice.
and they played in the gym.
Cool.
And it was like a pit going on right on that like wood gym floor. And we hung out with them. Me and my girlfriends hung out with them, like getting ready for the show, and met them and got the T-shirts signed, and we had a blast. And that kind of started a whole thing where, I don't know, Chuck and I have seen Naked Raygun at least a dozen times together. With a bunch of friends. We definitely were part of that Chicago punk show scene.
Cool.
Where Raygun
shit,
was a
free
big
shit.
part of it. Yeah, the throwing out free shit. And it was a lot of the same people from the city, the suburbs, Northwest Indiana, that everybody went to those shows. And
That's really cool.
it was a definite thing, and it was really sentimental at a lot of times. And all wore the Naked Raygun T-shirts all the time. And
Do you have any of those T-shirts from back in the day?
I have one. I have
Oh,
one.
shit.
I do. And
can't fit in mine
now they
Put it on eBay, Chuck, for $1,000.
Yeah, I don't have that anymore, but we had some classics.
we have Naked Raygun free shit bells on Fluid's back bar sitting up there. They're like these little cowbell things and say the NR on there. And so we pay homage to Naked Raygun. Definitely a big part of our youth was
That's
the
really
Raygun
cool.
scene. They still practice together above the Cobra Lounge, which is All Rise Brewing Company there, which is near Intelligentsia, where we're constantly over there getting coffee, doing
That's where the
cuppings, things like
okay.
that. So
I've
we
been to
hang out
shows
at there. And yeah, it's super intimate, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like
small.
it's a great place to see, especially little punk shows.
Punk shows.
But,
I saw
yeah.
Pig Destroyer there like a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it was really violent. It wasn't intimate. It was violent.
Intimate and violent.
Yeah, at the same time, and shit was like, get down.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So a lot of those beers at the brewery, at All Rise Brewery, are named after Naked Raygun songs and Naked Raygun references and things like that, because they're a part of that. So, yeah.
Very cool. I mean, what about any other bands with them? Was there anything else that you remember that was worthwhile?
Oh man,
Punk bands? No.
one of the best shows I think we ever went to that I remember.
Butthole
is
Surfers.
Butthole Surfers. Yeah. I love the Butthole Surfers, man. I mean, that was like quintessential, like kind of fuck you
out
rock.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, Beavis and Butthead loved them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's how I got into them when I was a kid.
You know,
I mean, it's
there's
the
that
Butthole Surfers.
there's that Al Jorgensen ministry tie too, which kind of endears me to them somewhat as well.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like Jesus Built My Hot Rod. You know, that was a collab with Gabby Hayes and Al Jorgensen, and you know, and there's that crossover a lot. I mean, Al Jorgensen has his hands in so many different bands, you know, and Thousand Homo DJs, or
I remember that. Yeah.
or Revolting Cocks, or you know, and then a lot of people spawned off of his, you know, collection of people like. Pigface would be another big one that I liked back in the day. But Chris Conley, I mean, these people, you know, they've got all these Chicago ties, kind of so to speak. But Butthole Surfers we saw at Aragon Ballroom, and
Cool.
believe it or not,
How was that show? I mean, were there a lot of people there? Like,
oh my God, it was packed. It was
No
great.
shit.
But the thing is that it was packed because the opening act for them was Stone Temple Pilots. And
Get outta here,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. And this was before, you know, they hit it big. You know, they were riding the coattails. We always considered them riding the coattails of, you know, Nirvana and Alice in
Alice
Chains
in
and all
Chains.
that.
to a certain
you know.
extent, but much respect to Scott Weiland. I love him.
Yeah, he's
man.
dead, and that's okay and everything.
Dude.
Chuck's being harsh. Fred, what do you got to say about that? His friend's a big Stone Temple Pilots.
I like
fan.
Stone Temple Pilots. It's not that. It's just
No,
that
it's all right. It's all right.
if you grew up with that, they really were like the redheaded stepchildren to us
Yeah.
of that. You know,
Scott's he's my dude though.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Scott.
he's good, and you know, went
How
out
was
with,
he that night though? Was he all right?
Well, more people were there to see them than the Butthole Surfers,
Yeah.
and Gabby Hayes didn't take too kindly to that,
Oh wow.
and so that was as soon
ego.
as.
It was controversial.
Yeah,
a
it was
little bit. Yeah.
a little bit. I don't think he liked him very much.
It was the mixing of worlds.
Yeah,
You know,
So he
things were
thought-
kind of changing.
yeah. He
you
thought
know?
they were sellouts, and he made it known.
Yeah.
when-
Was it like Stone Temple Pilots' first album?
I don't know.
It
It
had
had to be like
be.
90.
4?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, it was like
Five?
the,
Five,
second
I
or
don't
third
know.
album.
Yeah.
At any rate, but yeah, Butthole Surfers, Stone
They
Temple
weren't.
Pilots.
They weren't a household
95
name quite
probably.
yet. I mean, they were big
Yeah.
enough to where more people were there to see them than the headliner, Butthole Surfers.
Okay.
But still, I mean, that was a great show. We had a great
Cool.
time. And Gabby Hayes, I'm surprised it didn't burn the fucking place down, man. I mean, it was
flames.
What
to
about
the
some
ceiling.
metal? I know you two. I see some metalhead behind you.
Yeah.
You were telling me about Slayer, and I didn't know that. This is their last tour coming up, right? Chuck, you were telling me.
Somebody told us
Someone
that.
told us
I wasn't
something.
I wasn't a
Seriously.
huge. When you were there last time, there was a customer, talking to me, and you at the same. Anyway, she was saying that she got our tickets for the final Slayer tour. So I guess it's like they're.
What about
Retiring.
Judas Priest? I know you're a
Farewell.
Judas Priest
Judas
guy.
Priest, I
you
love
guys had
Judas
that cool
Priest.
T-shirt you showed me too.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we're probably breaking all sorts of copyright infringements.
Nobody
and all
cares.
That. Yeah,
Nobody's coming to
whatever.
get us.
Whatever, feds,
We're
federales.
yes,
We got hams,
yeah,
hams beers.
Feds of Porter County, Indiana.
But
yeah. They're coming after.
they're coming after dudes that drink hams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, I grew up as like more of a. I was into BMX biking, and stuff like that. So that was kind of like the theme of things. So a lot of metal, a lot of Priest, a lot of Iron Maiden type of stuff, and I'm a huge Black Sabbath fan. And
Who isn't though?
yeah, I know. I mean,
I mean, no disrespect, but
Godfathers.
everybody loves Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean,
Allison,
of
you
course.
like Black Sabbath?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Well, that's a
definitely.
good story.
Yeah,
right
let me hear
there.
Black.
That's a
You got a
good
Black
story.
Sabbath story?
I got an Ozzy Osbourne story.
Fair enough.
Ozzy and I go way back. No, I'm just kidding.
That's your boy.
No, yeah,
That's your
no,
homie?
Not not even close. I
This
wish.
is like a love Valentine
This is a
story.
love story.
What?
So I have a way of begging Chuck to do stuff a lot of times, and one time I didn't have a ride to go somewhere that I wanted to go, and Chuck had tickets for an Ozzy Osbourne concert, and I begged him long enough that he took me where I wanted to go instead of going to the Ozzy Osbourne concert, and I regret that, but at the same time, he won my heart.
Way to go,
But I
Chuck.
never let her live it down. So. Hey, remember that time I missed the Ozzy concert for you?
Hey, but
That's how much I love you.
He can
I
get away
drove
with
you-
anything with saying that. He can get away with
people
anything.
drove you there. I love you. I love you, babe.
I love you, babe.
But yeah, Sabbath, Ozzy. The first time I got to see them was like '99 Ozfest, and I was really
Yeah.
happy
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. Because
Good
Geezer
stuff.
was playing bass, Bill Ward was on
yeah.
drums, Tony Iommi, and then Ozzy. They were like, "It's our last show," and then they
Yeah.
just did their last show like last year.
That's what they keep saying.
Like
They're gonna wheel Ozzy
Bill
out
Ward
in a
can't
wheelchair.
play no more, and then they
Yeah.
had like Brad Wilk from Rage play, and he was good enough. But
Yeah.
much respect to Black Sabbath.
I bought
Gotta
my
love 'em.
first Ozzy album, and I don't know why I did this because I had options, but I bought my first Ozzy album with my own money on 8-track. So that's how old I am, I guess. But yeah, I bought Diary of a Madman from Park Drugs in Maryville
Ooh, yeah.
on
Ooh,
8-track.
old school record.
Yeah.
Wow.
And popped that sucker into my parents' Magnavox, console, big, freaking.
That record, like that record itself, like just always looked dirty, didn't it? Isn't that a good description of it?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it
It just
would.
always looked like kind of like I don't know, like there was like fragments, like it looked like it was put in and out of a bookshelf like
Yeah.
1,000 times. Like it just
a great,
had all these
great
hairs on them, and yeah, Diary of a Madman. It's a good album because I remember when I was a kid too. Like, what is this? Like you're looking, it looks like a werewolf on it. Like,
Yeah.
it just looked like a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's an impression, but yeah, much respect to Ozzy and
That's great.
Black Sabbath. I love it.
Well,
love
horror movies. Allison has a good GWAR story for you at least.
What's your GWAR
Oh,
story? I got GWAR stories too.
Yeah.
But go, Allison,
Well,
go. That's a little.
I thought I wanted to see GWAR.
I wanted
We did see GWAR.
And so I liked GWAR. I liked the music, and then we went to see them at, was it the Aragon? It had to be the Aragon.
No, it wasn't the Aragon. It
No?
wasn't that big. It was
Metro?
Riv. I don't know.
Riv.
One of those places.
Well, when we got there, I didn't know what to expect. And I mean, there were people in costumes. There was like
is that juggalo?
there was like a 10-foot pope with like this huge penis, like spraying yellow water out onto the crowd, and blood shooting out of their necks. And
Easy,
things.
Allison. Tomorrow's
I was
Fat Tuesday.
sorry. And there was fire and blood, and I was getting like sticky, like the things are shooting out onto the crowd. And I literally got scared, and I don't get scared of much, but I was like, what the fuck is going on, Chuck? I had no, what the fuck, Chuck?
Heard that one.
I had no idea what to expect with GWAR, so I ended up like literally hiding behind Chuck half the time, like trying to listen but not get squirted with like
Chuck
some
was that
yellow
boyfriend like
sticky
this, like-
liquid.
At a metal show.
He had to protect me.
Yeah.
He's
from
the
GWAR.
protector.
Yeah. I've protected her
That
from
was-
getting her knocked on her butt a few times.
Yeah.
That's all good.
I always think I want to get in the pit.
yeah.
And I do want to get in the pit, but then
She does.
I-
She gets
I-
in the pit.
yeah, I do.
She's one of the few girls, and then they
right.
slap five, and then
All right. I'm asking this on behalf of your son and your daughter. How was Screeching Weasel? Or
Hey,
well, it's coming up this
it's this
weekend. It's this
weekend.
weekend.
now
We're
now
going-
your
Yeah.
son and daughter, they know now. So let's let them know.
shout out to Ethan and Sophie.
Ethan and Sophie.
Screeching Weasel is
Screeching
this
Weasel.
Saturday night. We're going to see him.
It's an inside joke, but they know. They know.
They know.
But yeah, you guys are going. Where are they playing at?
Reggie's.
Reggie's, the Rock House.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what's coming
thrilled.
up? There's something playing at the Beat Kitchen that we've never been to the Beat Kitchen. It's a tiny little place.
I've been to
You
the
go to
Beat Kitchen. I've been
yeah.
there.
What do you think about it?
It's hostile.
Hostile.
I met
Pantera reference.
Pantera
Sorry.
reference. Everybody's
Get it out there.
I don't remember if it was the Beat Kitchen. Yeah, it was the Beat Kitchen. Hannibal Burris. I met him there. He was just at the bar, comedian, hanging out. Talked to him for a
Yeah.
while.
Cool.
Yeah, Beat Kitchen's cool. Go there.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a little
I
rough.
I can't remember who was coming there that we went. Wonder Bar.
Wonder Bar.
Yeah, we were sitting in Mucho Mas, and shout out to Mucho Mas in Michigan City.
the big
and
MC.
they've
What's
got
going
one
on in Michigan City and like LaPorte County? Because it just seems
They're
so
trying.
far.
They're trying.
I know
Yeah.
they've always tried, but is there
Yeah.
like they used to have an old school like hardcore scene there in the early 2000s, and it was
Yeah.
it was respectable. Like, is
Was
there
it?
any? Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, this is a long time ago. I
don't
can't
know.
remember the band's names.
I mean-
but is there anything good going on that way?
I mean, beer. I mean, we go out there.
Beer.
We're friends with the guys at Burnham Brewery. I mean, we love those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
they're doing beer. I mean,
I love Burnham.
yeah.
They're good guys.
I mean,
It's good shit.
they actually sell our cold brew. We bottle our cold brew. They sell our cold brew coffee out there too, and they're always good to kind of hang out with, and they always throw a good party. I love the vibe out there. It's not, it's more hippie-esque than our vibe, but that's okay.
What's your vibe, Chuck?
Hostile?
That Pantera vibe.
Yeah.
It comes from
God,
Lake
I love
County.
Pantera.
They don't get it. I know.
Yeah.
I there was like when Dimebag got killed. I think it's December. I think he got gunned down, and I wanted to do like a show, just like
Yeah. In
15
homage of.
to 30 minutes, like to
Yeah.
Dimebag, and it'll happen eventually. But what an awesome soul! What an awesome person! Like everything about his music, and if you've ever watched anything about Dimebag, like his personality, like just a really, really great person.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame that he got gunned down like that.
I
like
know. Crazy.
it's like a sore subject. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to do it. That's what I'm getting at. Like I wanted to do it a while ago, but it's just like I almost like I knew him
Yeah.
or something weird. Like, and I
Do it.
didn't.
Well, it's one of those, things built into our, if you're into that kind of music at all, and it's just a sad story.
Sad story, and everyone should be into whatever and everything Dimebag had to represent because he was such a nice dude, and it always seemed genuine. Like from his solo to whatever he had to say on film. Like, great person, and I never met him, but
Authentic.
very authentic. Thank you. Like, just awesome. Did you guys ever get to see Pantera live?
No, we never did. I mean, I would have loved to.
Yeah.
I did twice. and
Did
I'm
you?
happy about it.
Yeah.
All right, kudos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Where'd you see him at?
I got to see him at Ozfest 2000, and then at what is it in Chicago now? They call it something different. It was Pantera, Black Sabbath, and Deftones at one of those big places. Where do they do the car shows?
Oh yeah, McCormick.
McCormick Place. Remember they used to do shows back then?
Did they?
Yeah,
I
like,
never
Oh,
been.
yeah.
Never.
or
been
the
to-
Rose, or was it the
Rosemont Horizon.
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a long time ago. It was
Yeah.
like late '90s.
Yeah.
Really good time. Really
I
good time.
saw late '80s, mid '80s, something. I saw. I never liked going to those big shows. But I saw Aerosmith. I saw Dokken open up for
Dokken.
Aerosmith. If you remember Dokken.
I do.
Yeah, so that's some metal roots for you. But the last time, I think I saw Genesis there one time, and I would have rather like had a root canal. It was fucking
All right, you guys, what's going on with some events at Fluid coming up?
So the next event is this Friday is open mic night, which gets kind of crazy at Fluid. It's experimental, it's strange, and people come out and do music. They do poetry, and some people that are really doing cool stuff in local bands come out and do little experimental things. So that's this Friday at 7 o'clock, 7 to 9, and our open mic night is totally free. We have a small space, so it gets packed out where it's standing room only. People sit on the floor. It gets kind of crazy, but all you have to do is walk in, sign up at the sign-up sheet, and do your thing. So
And buy some
everybody's
coffee.
welcome.
You guys have
Yeah.
any good stories about like any other open mic nights or like any?
Oh,
jeez.
How much time do we have? How about the punk rock? You guys are telling me about how the punk rock nights.
Yeah.
We're banned from being able to have actual live shows there because of our endeavors.
Yeah, that was a local band called Interdependence, and they are they're pretty hardcore punk. And we decided that we were going to have them play at Fluid. We're excited, like this is perfect. We have them set up. We have like a lounge area in the back, and it's a little dark space and
Little green room.
yeah, a little green room going on. And
Shred and I will be back there to do podcasts.
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, well,
That's
we
where the
just
last
had a
one was.
podcast there
Did you?
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, in that back room.
They got
It was
shit on
beautiful.
us.
It was beautiful. You guys are next.
Yeah, I'm just joking, but yeah, we will be there with hands.
We would love to have you. You know, you guys are just hard to get.
and a lot of hams. That's all I'm saying.
We'll supply the hams
We
this
can bring
time.
it. So we had this punk rock band plug in, full drum set, super loud, and they just like, boom, went in on it. And the place was packed out. The music was great. It was really loud. And I'm standing behind the bar looking like, whoa. Like, this is my dream come true. Like, I can't believe this music's happening right now in my place. I'm so happy. This is the way it goes. Within a minute of having this, like, enlightened moment, the chef from next door walks in, like, red-faced, like, from his kitchen where he's been cooking, and he's so pissed. And he goes, turn it the fuck down. and everybody just kind of turns and looks at him. I mean, he was loud. Nobody quite understood what he said, and they're like looking at him, and he's like, turn it down. And so he left, and we tried to turn it down a little bit. We're messing with the amps a little bit, messing with the speakers a little bit. But to make a long story short, we were shaking the walls of the fine dining restaurant next to us.
Valpo
and
hates us.
our landlords had a little chat with us within a couple of days where we were called into the office, and Chuck and I were scolded
What happened?
really hard.
You really scolded?
We were
yeah,
scolded
we were
hard.
You slapped on the wrist?
Little slap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck's like,
it
oh,
was-
I'm just going to play Slayer tomorrow. Like,
So-
whatever.
we keep open mic night unplugged now, and
Kinda.
kind of, but yeah, no more loud punk in the tiny space.
We're not
much
allowed to
bigger than
have full-on bands anymore. Our landlords have forbade it. So
They have.
What about this?
Shout out to Michael and Dana.
What up, Mike? Kiss our asses. What about the philosophy and metaphysics night? What's up with that?
Oh, well,
February
that's a different
27th.
So that's a good thing going on. We have had
It-
3 different people try to hold a philosophy group at Fluid, and they've all done a great job. But you get some, our clientele, our reggies, so to speak, at Fluid, they know their stuff, and they're kind of hardcore into discussion. So I think we finally, this guy that's holding the discussion, that's facilitating now, he was a lawyer for 35 years, and he has his master's in philosophy, and he is a very wise man that kind of knows his shit. So he is leading this group, and as a facilitator, he throws these bombs out there and then kind of
Metaphysic
listens
bombs, yeah.
and then kind of guides the conversation, and it's a beautiful thing. So his name is Michael Galanis, and he is leading this group, and that's coming up later this month too. It's totally open to everyone, and we get a really diverse group for it. Everybody
bet.
from VU students
really-
to people in their 50s and 60s. So yeah,
It stuck out to me. I'm like, what's going on with that? You
Yeah.
know, like
It's good times.
yeah.
Yeah, I've taken like philosophy classes, but metaphysics, you see that, I'm like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. It's good.
Existentialism and so on
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably noticed the Camus quotes on our walls. And
Yeah, for sure.
Dali, and I mean, we're by no means experts in the area, but we like to dabble. We like to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, nor am I. I like that conversation. I think it's cool to have a very open mind and just be mindful at the
Yeah.
same time. Just like,
Yeah.
oh, let's talk about it. But
We
the
keep
guy
it-
that's doing it, what's his name again? You said
Michael Galanis.
Okay.
And he's a lawyer in this area for 35 years, and so a
Cool.
lot of people know him. But his passion kind of lies in philosophy, so he has his master's in philosophy as well. And he likes to dabble in all sorts of schools of philosophy. So he came to us. He's also an artist. And he lives nearby. He's a customer, and he came to us with the idea to facilitate this group, and it's been amazing. And like I said, the diversity of the people that show up, and it's like when you sit around, like we were talking about earlier at the bar, and you ponder these life questions with a good friend. But these are with this group is with some strangers too. You bring
That's
your
the
friends,
best
and then it's
thoughts, yeah.
strangers, and so you get these outside views that you normally wouldn't have. So it's a great thing. It's definitely, and it's a free event. I mean, you just come in and hang out.
drop knowledge.
Yeah.
What's up with Bob? How do you say his last name? Molsong?
Yeah, I would say Molsong. He's an author. He's an author, and he's written young adult books, children's books, and a couple of novels. And
You guys are going to have him March 10th?
we are. He
Cool.
is going to be doing a book signing, and his books are available on Amazon. And he's a really interesting dude too. Very interesting dude. He's a super cool guy. We like to support local authors. We usually have at least one book signing a month, and it's like I was saying with this podcast, just people putting their stuff out there. There's so much local talent and creativity.
We have to put it out.
That let's put it out
Definitely.
there and let's support each other. I mean,
Absolutely.
this guy is writing. He's sitting like, people say, I want to write a novel with my life. Like this is a
We could all-
common
yeah.
thing. Like, I'm going to write a novel. But this is a dude who, from Valpo that's actually done it. Not once, but a few times. Like, he's gotten his stuff down. So
Yeah, he's got his
he's a cool
stripes.
guy. Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that Jose Rios. He's
Rios,
a
yeah.
great guy, man. I mean, he's a well-known face in Valpo, but he did a children's book, and he did a book signing last month or month before last, whatever. But people turn out for that stuff, man. It's supporting the arts. It's
It
not
is.
just the visual arts and the music, but writing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's all on the same playing field, right? I mean, that's what we're all doing here to a certain extent, like you said earlier, like just a second ago, like just promoting awesome artistic ideas and just open open ideas and ideology. Like, just you got to go with it. Like, whatever your business is or whatever your belief is, like, just promote it and just keep going and going and going.
Honestly, at this point in our life, in our world, it's hard to not be staring at your phone, at Facebook and Instagram and anything else it has to offer for you, and to actually put it down and write a novel, do a podcast, paint a painting,
And that's a good point.
study philosophy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that, like, I want to carry the torch of this stuff. Obviously, you guys do too. It's really what makes you feel good. It's really what, connects us all community-wise, where we can really appreciate what each other's really doing, not in a fake
Bullshit
Facebook
way.
kind of way, but in a reality kind of way. Like, this is what I've got. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I commend everybody that's doing that.
Yeah, here's the business. Here's the paint on the wall.
Yeah.
Here's the recording. Whatever you're into, like, here it is. Like, this is what I might be about, or Sretton, or you two with your business, or whatever your art is. But here it is.
Yeah.
We all support one another.
Yeah.
So check it out. Like you said, I think with our generation, I think it's very important to pass down to the next one this do-it-yourself mentality.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked when I first came into your business. It seemed very do-it-yourself, and that punk ethic.
Totally
And and I could and just meeting you guys within 5 minutes, like, these are real people. This is what I'm into.
Cool.
Sincerely, no
Yeah.
bullshit. And that's why we are very happy to have you here and to promote your business.
Thank
and
you.
we really, really love your business. I know I do. Sret needs to get out there. I know he's been.
I've been out
before.
there a handful of times.
Okay.
I had before we opened the Green Door, we were thinking about doing the maker space in the area, and the plan changed a little bit. And we had a
yeah.
couple meetings at your guys' place.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I like
Thank
it.
you.
It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, we're all
We
all
appreciate
brave
it.
thinkers. I think, and
Yeah.
I know, and we're gonna just move things along. Like,
Right.
even talking to, like, you have your son and your son and your daughter there, both of you guys, like, they were just awesome, very personable. I loved everything about your establishment and your business. It's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It was,
I appreciate that.
and Allison, it
Big
was
time.
really, really
That's
good.
a high compliment coming
Yeah,
from you.
and you guys are just really cool, and thanks for coming tonight. We really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Yeah.
This has been beautiful.
Yeah,
like,
right?
you can definitely know when you're vibing with your type of people. So it's a great thing, and this space is amazing to be sitting in with this lighting and these books surrounding us, and the whole environment. It smells beautiful in here. It looks beautiful in
It
here.
smells like
So
good books. In
I
here.
appreciate it so much. Yeah. And then we had, like, fine crafted moonshine.
Don't forget that part. We
You
had
can't beat
moonshine
that.
from Serbia. It was pear moonshine.
You guys have been wonderful
stuff.
hosts.
And
Thank you
hams.
so much. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having us.
Thank you. Everybody, check out next episode. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated. That's right. I'm musically meditated.